Landon, we'll get started. Would you set up a word of prayer for us?
Yes, sir. Father, we do want to start by just thanking you for all our blessings and pray that you have blessed this time that we have set aside to conduct the business of Oglethorpe County. I pray, dear Lord, you just give us minds that can hear and understand what's presented to us, and pray, dear Lord, that we act in a way that is best for the people that we represent and for Oglethorpe County. Ask always that you would guide us and direct us. Forgive us when we fall short of your greatness. In Christ's name I ask you, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Andy. So this is a work session. I mean, we can make decisions here, but that's really not official decisions. That's really not the objective. Phil?
Phil, yeah.
Hey, Phil.
How y'all?
Hey, Phil. So we just had the prayer field, and I'll just starting out. This is a work session, really not any official decisions that need to be made. There are some decisions that we do want to come away from here with. But the objective is to try to narrow down our choices here to set this budget for 2019. The biggest reason for that is there's a lot of publications that have to take place, beginning with public notices that have to take place, beginning with the 5-year history. On that 5-year history, it needs to indicate what the mill rate is going to be, and the budget for this year is going to be with some degree of certainty. And that process needs to start this week. It needs to start this week. So we can't wait to the budget hearings to make this decision. I mean, we can make a decision that the budget hearings is different from this, but if it is, then what's been published. But if it is, and it's a mill rate that's higher than what we published, then we'll have to go through that process all over again and start the process over again. So to start with, I think Josh has handed you out a copy of. Does everybody have a copy of this? Dan, you want a copy of that?
Yes, please.
Oh. I guess the first page is the revenue that you have, Josh, or?
Yes.
And anticipated revenue, and then the anticipated expenditures from that's being proposed. Again, there's a number of choices we can make. We'll propose a few of them for you today. You can choose one of them, or you can choose something different. I will give you a little bit of, and you add to this, Josh, if you need to. On the revenue side, some significant revenue increases. The digest has increased, I think 1.3.
About 1.5%.
1.35, 1.5%, somewhere around in there. Insurance premiums is up a little bit. We're anticipating a little bit from Athens Clark County landfill. You know, we have the deal once they go into Oglethorpe County and start putting refuge into Oglethorpe County, then we'll get 10% off the top. We're not going to go in there full bore, but we anticipate some this next year, and then, you know, in 19 maybe 100%. I don't know, but some this year because of weather and finishing out the sale return. We have less election expense, which is double negative, which I consider to be a positive. You have less election expense because you don't have election. We did budget for a special election if necessary, but not a full-blown election. So that goes down. And that's one of those that goes down and it goes up on elections. I mean, we just always deal with that. Is there anything else on the revenue side significant you want to mention? On the expense side, we already talked about the health insurance. I think that was some $95,000. An increase, what was that? Increase $95,000 this year. DA, $30,000. Probation, again, a double negative. We got $25,000 less in probation. I guess Judge Hodges decided that probation revenues didn't need to come to Oglethorpe County, they need to go back to probation, so we're going to have $25,000 less in revenue, which again, double negative equals an expense. Volunteer fire department, that's increasing them $37,000. EMA 18.5 for the unified fire departments. That's in there as well. And a 2% increase in cost of living for all employees. Okay, so that's basically all those expenses and those revenues have been covered to reach what we consider to be the baseline. Inside of the baseline mill rate. So I'd like to explain to you what I mean by the baseline mill rate. You have okay, so in 2017, the mill rate was 7.614. Yes, in 2018, went up to 8.315. That was the increase. And that was a result of 2.42%, 2.4242 mills to cover the 18 expenses and 0.0471 mills to cover the 17 overages. You recall that? You want to call that?
Yes.
So, so the baseline is what I consider to be the 7.614 plus the 0.242, which equals 7.856, which is that third column. Okay, so if we hadn't increased the mill rate to cover the overages in 17, then that's what the mill rate would have been in 18. Okay, so that's what I consider to be our baseline. We shouldn't have those expenses for 17 again. That light blue at the top of the second column should not exist again. Those are taken care of. That's covered. So again, all those things I just mentioned on the revenue, considering the increased revenue and the increased expense, will allow us to get under or stay at the 7.856 mill rate. And will cover all requested monetary expenses from the elected officials, with the exception of the sheriff. The sheriff has requested, I think, salaries for hourly, for employees and overtime, salaries and overtime to the equivalent of 7.5%. And if that's what you want to do, then that's that fourth column over there. That equals 8.033 million.
The 7.5% being based upon current salary, a 7.5%.
Current budget, yes.
The salary increase is actually a 6% increase. And there's a couple of bills in there, including insurance went up, and some like the water bill has been higher. We're trying to cover over where everything comes out correctly.
Well, actually, it's a 7.5% increase in salaries.
From 2018 budgeted payroll to 2018 budgeted payroll to 2019 requested payroll is 7.5%.
Now, there was some additional increases, David, but that was removed. And I will tell you one other thing I failed to mention was we took out the defined benefit, which is being charged to each department. The defined benefit was charged to each department, and what that is the old DB plan, defined benefit plan we had before 2012, and it's still a retirement plan. It still exists for employees that was hired to that date, but for new employees after 2012, it went to a DC plan. And we still have to put money in there to sustain that DB plan until all the current vested non-current employees or not non-employed, and people that were vested and left, and people that are still here, you have to put money in there to cover that. Well, that was being distributed to each department. That's been removed from each department. So there was some funds that were removed from each department, including the sheriff's department and the jail and 911, that was actually transferred to the commission. And that's going to decline more and more as more people die, and we bought out some this year. We were able to buy some out that were out there less than $10,000, worth of $10,000 value. So that's going to continue to go down. I think currently around 40-something thousand is what we owe annually. But anyway, that was shifted to the commission. We put that in there because it was just very difficult to keep up with who had liabilities out there for each department, and the distribution just was almost impossible to keep accurate. So that was shifted out. So there were some expenses that were removed from that department, and they probably took the place. I'm sure they took the place of some of the increases, like the water bill and the things that you mentioned. But the salaries were 7.5%.
Right.
So the 8.033 represents the sheriff's request, 7.5% salaries, whatever it is, expenses total, minus whatever was taken out, like the expenses for DB. And then if we want to give everybody a 7.5% increase, we can go up to 8.378%. We'll give everybody the same point. Now, of course, that doesn't include the FICA and the defined contribution part of their retirement as well. But that's what the mill rate would be.
When you say the 7.5% for everybody, are we talking about like every county employee? Is that what you're mentioning?
Every non-elected official is employed.
Okay.
No corporation gives 7.5% increase in salary. Nobody can afford that.
Well, again, what I'm trying to do here is just put the options out there. I mean, you know, it's the pleasure of the majority of this board, but they do want to come away from here with some direction. Because we do have to publish this. And we don't want to have to go back through this process.
The format that you're looking at, the 2 sheets of paper that was handed out to you, the reason it's in that format is because that's what would appear in the public notice. So the top of that indicates all the required pieces of information that are in the public notice, to include a public hearing, date set for the public hearing. And then the only difference in what you would see in the paper and what you see in front of you is there are 2 columns. There are a couple of columns in there. Those columns represent the options that the chairman has been describing to you.
What is the county's history of pay increases here? How have we, in the past, and I've been around here for some of them, I know we've given some small percentages from time to time, but I don't recall one in a long, long time. But what's our history on that? I mean, what is the rate? Do we have a rate that we try to hit, or is it just as we have money we can give? And
Well, we hadn't had any money since I've been in office. This is the first year the digest has actually increased of any significance. Last year, I think it might have been a fractional increase, but we've had other sources of revenue that we've been able to increase salaries on. We've only given one cost of living raise that I can remember that was 1%. We have given a 1% bonus, which is not quite the same. I mean, that's a one-time deal versus a for now on type of deal. But we just hadn't had the money to get it. We just tried to make it work, and we have. We've had increases, but now those increases haven't been cost of living. They've been essentially merit. I mean, there's people who, if you don't pay them more, they're going to leave. I mean, that's just the reality of the way it works. To get some decent employees, you got to pay decent money. That's what I consider to be a little bit different from cost of living. That's not something to everybody. That's something to the ones who you got to pay them to keep, or you either, in some cases, you lose. And we've all experienced that. We've all experienced it. And to be more competitive, and to get more competitive, that's what we had to do. But we really hadn't had much in terms of cost of living. And that's just the reality.
There may have been one year in my memory that the increase the legislature gave to local officials, we turned around and did the same thing for employees.
I don't think we did the same thing, I think we did the 1% that.
Or something similar, right.
I think it was 2% for elected officials, and we ended up doing 1%. Maybe it was the same thing, I don't remember, but I don't think it was only 1 year.
But that's just once in my memory.
So basically, over the past, and if I'm understanding you correctly, then we, county employees have not had a lot of raises to look forward to, or hadn't been able to get any of the cost of living raises.
I think in the last 4 years, we probably increased 2.5% total.
Yeah, again, not,
That wasn't due to the cost of living, that was.
right, not blanket increases, but employees do get raises from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are we to decide we're trying to decide on the baseline here versus the, let's see, the 2% countywide.
Well, you could, you
Does the 2% here, is that in the baseline?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, all right.
I mean, you could say that we couldn't get 2%. That we didn't throw that out there as an option, and then you could reduce the baseline mill rate even more if you wanted to. But it get, the market is getting tougher. I mean, it's getting tougher. It's hard to get employees hired, period, and the reason is there's just not many to go around. There's not many qualified individuals to go around. We all suffer that. And if you don't make it a little bit more competitive, I mean, we're just going to get so far behind, we just ain't going to be able to get anybody to work with us and keep them.
Right.
And that's the challenge.
On the increases I recommended, what I'm saying is I'm going for a net neutral as far as taxpayers go, because I know every year we have to come up with what we come up with probate, what we come up with housing inmates, what we come up with fees and stuff like that. I think in probate court been averaging net around $50,000 a month, and for budgetary purposes we figure $25,000. So that's a $25,000 surplus every month. It's going to come out at the end of the year. I think for it to be net neutral, I think we would have to say 36,000, 36,700, right in there somewhere. The money we're already bringing in, because that's a result of us doing our job. So really, the increase in budget I'm recommending, or I'm asking for, is covered under that net extra money brought in for probate court, so it wouldn't affect the taxpayers. But, and what we're seeing here is, what you see now in probate court is probably kind of the way it's going to be. I mean, we're not making any particular extra special efforts. We're just doing our jobs, and this is what it's been consistently for the last 6 months or so around that. And I don't see it changing in the future. So when I'm putting in for things and asking for it, there's also a revenue stream there to satisfy what I'm asking for without taxing the taxpayers on it. The other thing I think you'll find is we're behind. I mean, we've been behind. Last year we came up a little bit, and I'm trying to nibble away at it each year just to get back competitive. If you look in the market, starting deputies, starting officers run 36, 37,000. We're at 31,000, 31.5, right in there somewhere. So we're about 4,000 or 5,000 behind the market. And a very telling part of that is recently all the stuff happened in Oglethorpe County. A lot of people are leaving there. I've talked to a lot of other sheriffs and stuff like that. They've got 12 to 20 applications from Oglethorpe County employees trying to get on there. And we got 2. And the reason we got 2 is what we pay. It's not we're a bad organization, we're not a bad community, we're not a bad county, but we're so far out of competition as far as that goes. When you have these specific skill sets where you're trying to hire these people, they're going to go where the money's at. It's great to work for a great community and a great sheriff and a great organization, but at the end of the day, they got to feed their kids, and that's what we're looking at. Now, when you go for an extended period of time and you hadn't had these pay increases, at some point you have to have an adjustment, and that's what we're trying to do here, is kind of get that adjustment up so that we're still not paying $38,000 a year. We're going to be paying about $33,700 starting out, but it's closer. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully keep what we have and not lose those people, and maybe even attract some other folks.
I appreciate that. Just hold those thoughts for a minute, but let me just back up a little bit. When we talk about net neutral in 2018, at least it looks like so far we will be net neutral from the increases from what we had in 2017. 17. So the increases to run the sheriff's department and the revenue to support that pretty much is gonna be net neutral. It's not excess, it's about net neutral. But if you add 19 to that, I think what you'll find out is we'll have somewhere around $203,000 increase. It won't be net neutral. It'll be, we'll go from 700 some odd thousand since 17 to 500,000 versus $500,000 in increased revenue. Another thing to take into consideration with that revenue that's coming in probate court is that 100% of that doesn't always end up in the sheriff's office. I mean, I mentioned some of the things, and you can help me out with this, Josh. But what I mean, there's we had to add one person down there in probate. That's a full salary. The people that go down there as a public defender and the prosecutor has increased their demands, and we're doing that twice as often, so it was already double, but they've also increased on top of that. There was, of course, increases that they're talking about adding another Superior Court judge, and you say, well, that's not Superior Court, that's probate court, but 46 cases, I think, that this year have gone from probate court to Superior Court, and they used those cases to justify the addition of a fourth Superior Court judge by numbers. What else am I missing here?
Well, paramedics and deputies both are expected to testify in court. So those hours, the time that employees spend in court for those tickets is typically paid an overtime rate. And that's above and beyond the time they're serving as a paramedic or as a deputy on the road. So when they do blood draws, for example, a paramedic will do a blood draw on a traffic stop, and then they'll have to come testify in court. So there's an additional cost of payroll that's in those other departments' budgets that's added as well.
And I don't want to try to suggest a negative cloud or a plan a negative cloud like that. I appreciate the revenue you brought in. Again, it's about making net neutral in 2018. I anticipate it being that way, based on the way it looks. But if you take the last 12 months of revenue from probate court, and you take the last 12 months from your inmate housing, and you project that forward, which is going to be pretty much what you thought they would be, it would still be about a $200,000 deficit if you go with that far right bar right there.
If you compare it to 2017 and prior.
So what percent increase is the far right bar?
The far right bar is applying a 7.5% payroll increase to all county payroll, countywide payroll.
All countywide?
Yes.
Well, I don't know, in this commissioner's opinion, I go along with David Clark. 7.5% is awfully hard to swallow. As far as I'm concerned, is making that kind of a jump.
But you had a lot of years before that with nothing. So, I mean, if you explain it that way, it ain't that big of a jump, because you had a bunch of years with nothing.
You had a bunch of years with nothing with county employees, other county employees, but I think you'll see, what do you have, what's the difference between 2016 and county employees versus
Look on that next tab.
all the sheriff's employees?
Is that what you're looking for?
I think so. I think that bottom line, to tell me what this represents.
The bottom line is the change in payroll of departments that are not the sheriff's departments, change in payroll for the departments that are not the sheriff's departments. The top line is budgeted payroll for the sheriff's departments from 2016 to 2019. Now that 2019 there represents what was requested.
Is that 2019? Okay, I got you.
2019 is the far right.
Far right, yeah. 2016 on the left, 2019 on the right.
So what percent is that jump? I can't make.
Well, the 16.7
Does that say 20?
to the middle to the 25.4. It's currently 16.7, and I don't know what the number is down here with the county employees, but it's less than, around 1% or something around there at the same period, and then it's 0.7, and I guess, what's that based on?
Percent change from, let me just point it out.
Oh, okay. Y'all excuse me, I get my glasses.
Get me another pair too.
I'll just do my best to describe it right here. The percent change from 2017's budgeted payroll to 2018's budgeted payroll here is 16.7% difference. Percent change from 2017's budgeted payroll here to 2019's requested payroll is a 25.4% difference. Again, this bar down here is all the departments that are not the sheriff's departments. The percent change from 2017 to 2019 is 0.7% different.
And there was a decrease from 2015, 16 to 17, correct?
From there to there, yes.
Okay, so it actually went down before it went back up.
And what was the decrease?
Well, it went down, but the budget went down, but the spending didn't go down.
Right.
So from 16, well, that's gonna be a 3-year period, there has been a 25% increase in the, that's the deputy pay right there, is that what we?
That's
Well-
all departments, I mean, all sheriff's departments.
Oh, okay, all sheriff's department.
And the 25% is a change from 2017's budgeted payroll to 2019's requested payroll. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, John, yeah, it did prior to 16, I'd say it's pretty flat. With some increases that will probably be indicative of that blue line, but it hasn't necessarily been that way since then.
Let's leave the lights off just one more time. Go over one more time with me now, Josh, where
Yep.
we started, right here. That's 2016. And this is for any employee other than the sheriff department.
Total payroll outside sheriff's departments.
So this represents a $1,100,000 overall, is that right?
Well, it's
Actually,
about,
that's on the, right
it's
at.
about 2.05.
And David, your annual salary for your deputies, according to that, would be from what to what?
Start out, well, what happened if you look at the budget from 16 to 17 is, it appeared to me, I didn't have anything to do with that budget. It appeared, it's actually a decrease in salaries, which in this day and age, if we're already below market, why would you decrease your salary? And what it appeared to me was they just didn't fund certain positions. That's where the savings came from. Because we were short on salaries required. If you filled the positions you should have, we were short on salaries. So showing the decrease kind of shows that. Part of the issue is you're assuming, it looks like a big increase if you assume that where you're starting from is fair within the market. But the problem is we're so far below market that we're trying to etch up to be competitive. And I'm not talking about any big departments, I'm talking about just neighboring departments, the people who are our competition.
I guess that'd be what my question is. What is your average annual salary for a deputy? In 2018, you want to go up to what in 19?
The starting salary right now is 31.5-ish, I believe, is, and we want to go up to 33.7, I think would be the beginning, and then compression and all, of course, you would have a likewise increase for each position above that, for sergeants and all that kind of stuff. So that you don't have the compression issue where you've got you people making almost what sergeants are making. So that's why we did the bump up all the way across. For the jail personnel, it's a little more than that. Right now, they're making, starting out $10.25. After they went to jail school, it'd be $10.50. And we're bumping them up to starting out at $11 and then $11.25 to go to jail school. And the reason for that is that they make more than cashiers at program. So, because you start losing people to retail, cashiers and stuff like that, because it costs money when you hire people, So we want to get the right kind of people and pay them a decent salary. And especially in the jail, we're way, way, way below. What most other organizations do is jailers are actually certified and they're starting out about $14 an hour. And we're still at 11. So we're not, it's spending more money, but it's one of these things where we never kept up. We've always been very low last, and now we're just trying to get somewhere decently close. To say it's difficult to recruit people would be an understatement. I rely heavily on the community here and the way people treat them here, but the money's simply not there to recruit folks. Try to keep people here, same thing. And it comes to a point of, people here deserve good people. They deserve good deputies. They deserve good folks. And it's bottom line, if you don't pay the folks, they ain't gonna stay. And at some point, how would you like to do that job for what they're making? And that's what it comes down to. And I think sometimes when you're sitting at a table, you get fixed in on 25% or 15% or something like that, and you gotta look in the big picture. Is it 25% of what? If it's 25% of the dollar, it ain't that much if everybody else is making $4.
Well, let's just talk about that for a second, because first of all, that is a budget up there. And that second bullet point over there that goes down is the budget figure. It's not the actual. The actual is a heck of a lot closer to that third bullet than it is to that first bullet. That's where we even had to go up 0.41 mils. Remember? Okay, so let's just make sure they understand that's the budget. It ain't actually what we're spending. Another point a couple of other points I want to try to make is, I don't think there's any question across the board with the county employees when it comes down to EMS, public works, recreation, senior citizens, library, the courts. We're at a disadvantage. We're at a little bit of a disadvantage. We always have, but it's across the board. It ain't unique to deputies. It ain't unique to jailers. And there's been what you're seeing right here is a big jump, at least in one area. And you're asking for another big jump. I'll tell you, if you're gonna make that jump, make it for everybody. If you're gonna make that jump, make it for everybody. We tried to do as we had, as we have had, but that's been the philosophy that this board has taken historically. You get options today. You do whatever you want, or even options beyond that. These are the ones we're throwing out there to you. The other point I want to make is, I know Debbie started out, I think you told me Salter's got a $4,000 cut when he come here. But you also told me he didn't have a take-home vehicle in Clark County. I don't know what y'all know, if you know what that's worth or not, but that's worth a pretty good bit. I'd be glad to give up $4,000 if our deputies didn't take home vehicles. It'd certainly save us a lot of money. I don't know what it's worth to them, but I can tell you what it's worth to us. It's worth a lot more than $4,000.
Is that something they'd be willing to exchange? I mean, what's
Well,
the
because-
reason for them to take a vehicle home?
Well, part of it is when they hit the county line, they're on duty when they hit the line. And they patrol in, they patrol out. We have a lot of times where people come in, especially the ones that live in the county, they never even make it to the law enforcement center. They'll go ahead and go on the call when they hit the county line, sometimes 15, 20 minutes early, because we're backed up. You got two deputies working, you got to call hold of the physical violence is occurring, somebody's got to go. Saturday, I was at home sitting around my shorts, and we had a deputy that didn't have any backup, was calling for help. I got to put my clothes on, went down there and helped him. So it actually helps from the law enforcement perspective, because it's not like where I just got done doing what I'm doing in the county day, I'm riding home, I'll just take my car. That's a work vehicle, and they're working in, they're working out. The other side of that is, it's comparable to everywhere else around here. The only place around here that doesn't have take-home cars is Athens, Clark County. every other sheriff's department in this area has take-home cars. So now we're gonna pay you less money and not get you a car. I mean, that's really not helpful in keeping or getting folks.
So
So,
let's just compare it to people that are taking vehicles on, and eliminate Clark County as a comparison, if that's the case.
so if I'm making $4,000 less here, or I make $4,000 more, and I don't have a take-home car, but I can go over here, make the same amount of money and have a take-home car, we're still 4,000 or 5,000 behind everybody else, and with the take-home car.
How many people do you have going out of the county with a take-home car?
Probably have about 5 right now. And what we try to do is we really try to push people to move here. I know we hired Salters, he's living in Athens right now, he had moved in with his dad, and his dad's gonna move out of Clark County, and we're really pushing for him to come here. Really pushing for him to find a good place to live, because a lot of the things, the fringe benefits I can offer is when you live in the county. You wanna go to your kid's school and have lunch with them, you live here, you can do that. You wanna go watch them play baseball on duty and have the uniform down at the rec department, hey, you can do that, but you can't do it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so that's why we really try to push living here as part of the compensation package, because it doesn't cost us anything, but it gives them a chance to be involved in their kids' lives. You wanna go home and have lunch with your family, come back to work, I don't have an issue, but you gotta live here, So that's, for us, we try to get everybody we can, into the county. We've had a couple of deputies actually move into the county since then. We have a couple more we're working on, so. Ultimately, when you have take-home cars, most of them can take them home in Oglethorpe County.
That 5's out of a total of what, 10 or 12 deputies you got?
That's out of, if you include CID and everything, that's like 15 deputies for detectives and everything. Now, the detectives and stuff, if they're on call, then we call them, they leave from their house and go to the scene, and then go back home. They don't have the extra time to actually come by the sheriff's office and not get a car or anything like that, so. It's pretty much standard for folks to have take-home cars as part of the compensation package for sheriff's offices and stuff like that, and most police departments now, with the exception of Athens Clark County. Athens Clark County has take-home cars within the county, they just don't have it outside the county. But almost everywhere else you go, they have it outside the county. I can't think of another sheriff's office or police department that doesn't. So we're trying to be competitive. We're trying to have good folks come here. We don't want to get whatever's left or whatever will come. We want to actually have good people come here.
I think take-home cars are a good idea, and I think that going to see the kids play ball, when you got a uniform on, because sometimes you're there. I know doing it with my own business, sometimes you have to throw in stuff like that when you don't have the dollars to throw in, and I think that's good, in my opinion. That's just me out of all y'all.
Well, I could just see, if you don't let in a county this size, geographical size, the Oglethorpe County is, if you don't let them take, if he lives in Madison County, you don't let him take the car home, all right, he has to come to Lexington before he can pull anybody over, right? He sees a semi come through the red light running 70 miles an hour at Crawford, he can't do anything about it.
And you can call on the phone,
That's all he can do.
ask somebody to come pull them over. Yeah.
Well, just understand that I don't know that this was intended to be a debate about whether or not you need to take cars
Oh, I
on.
know.
When you comparing apples to oranges,
Yeah.
it does cost.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. It costs, but there again, that cost is delivered to how you get the job done. You still gotta get the job done.
All I'm saying is, if you're gonna compare our cost with a deputy in Athens, Clark County, take that out of the equation.
Yeah, we gotta take Athens out of the equation, let's compare it to Everett County, Wells County, and so forth.
No,
Madison,
it just
Oklahoma,
means take that out of the equation.
Greene County.
Take the car out of the equation, if you're gonna compare them to Athens, just take the car out and then compare them to Athens, what you see would be a bigger, right?
But, and again, I just want to hit on a couple points there, and, don't want to belabor them. We get down too deep in the details, we'll be here tonight and still won't have a decision. Basically, we're giving you 4 choices here. You take any of them or none of the above and come up with your own, but that's what we got to have coming out of here.
Well, I personally would like to see the countywide pay rates increase. Number one, I agree with you, what you said. Everybody is worth more today than they were. If they've been with the county for a period of time, they worth more today to us than they were last year. You know, I just really can't see that we can afford to go 7.5% for everybody. So, and I know it'll be awfully difficult for y'all to go ahead and have to restructure something else, but if you went with 5% across the board for all the employees, what would that cost us in a percentage right there?
Be somewhere between 2 and 7, that's all I can tell you right now. I mean, I can't tell you what the mill rate is right off the top of the head.
Right.
I mean, it's a series of calculations.
So we're faced with a mill increase, I mean, with an absolute increase, now, no question about it.
No,
No.
no.
No, this is our, with the increases we had, this is our baseline that we had. This is the increase. And would take us to 8.033 on the millage rate from here. And this would include, if I'm keeping up with everything, this is 7.5% for everybody. Is that right, Chairman?
20 points.
I'm pointing to the 8.033.
No.
Bottom line.
8.033 is,
That is a 7.5%.
That's
just
that
the
fourth
sheriff's
column.
department.
That's if you don't give anything to the county employees and you give 7.5% to the sheriff department.
Oh, just to the sheriff department?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
If you give everybody 7.5% increase, it'd be that FAR number over there, which is, what is it, Josh? I can't, let's see.
8.378.
Oh, okay.
8.37.
You give everybody 2%, everybody 2%, it'd be 7.856, which we can get inside that baseline figure. There would be no tax increase over the increase we had last year for normal budgeting operations. And of course, anything in between there, if you, as you suggested, David, is going to be somewhere in between those two mill rates, between 7.856 and 8.033.
That third and the fourth column, somewhere between those.
Well, actually, between the third and the fifth column.
Third and the fifth.
But anything is possible. That sort of gives you the short answer.
The thing in my mind is, there's nobody wrong here, really. There's nobody really wrong. I mean, everything that's being asked for is really a right, but you gotta balance. That's what's so thick and hard about it. Nobody's wrong. Well, one other thing I want to throw out, just, I thought of this on the way down here, and what I've been hearing a lot about, and this is how it affects everybody's pocketbook in the county, these ISO ratings dealing with the fire. We've got some people paying outrageous, homeowner insurance policies now. And I don't know about y'all, but my house, taxes and insurance is all kind of grouped together, because it's kind of like a sunk cost. You don't get immediate benefit out of it, but you gotta have it. Just like if somebody's breaking in my house, I gotta have you, and your deputies, But people are paying a lot of money.
Well, they're paying what the rest of us have been paying all along.
Yeah. And it's catching up,
But we can't fix that with this budget. We've got some measures in place, $37,000 the increase to the fire departments and $18,500 the increase towards the unified fire department. There are steps in the right direction towards fixing that problem, but there is no quick fix for that one.
Yeah, I'm just saying right now, it's a painful time to mention a tax increase, because of that.
I'll tell you, it's always a painful time in Oglethorpe County to mention tax increase.
Amen to that.
Yeah. But
And ultimately, there is no wrong decision. The right decision is whatever these five people, you five people, or me, if it requires, to vote on. The majority, that is the right one. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the one on the far right, it could be the one on the far left. But ultimately, that's the recent decision, the current decision, but the ultimate decision takes place at the polls. And I'm just telling you, this ain't much of an appetite. We've all been through it. We know what it's like. And you know, when election time comes around, you find out. You'll find out exactly what people think about it. And that's what you have to, that's what you're faced with. But there's no wrong decision.
Well, I mean, if you're just looking for a suggestion, I will offer mine. And the other four can offer theirs, and we'll just see where it goes. 2% is not a great deal of money, but 2% will keep us within our baseline. And hopefully, if our revenues continue to come in, or our digest increases, you know, maybe we can continue with the 2% and move along with that right there. There's nothing to say that we couldn't hopefully be in a position where we could do that again at another time. But I do feel like, I mean, 7.5% I think is an awful lot to ask of the taxpayers. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Well, and I agree with you. And I'd love, I wish, and in the absence of insurance, our health insurance premiums going up, we may be in a position to do that, be net neutral. You know, I mean, I'd love to be able to do that. I'd love to have been able to do that for the last 8 years. It just ain't happened. Everything went down, not up. It's starting to turn up, and unfortunately, every time we turn around, there's a health insurance increase. There's a DA wanting $30,000 more. There's probation giving us $25,000 less. You know, we're giving more to the fire department. We're trying to do as we have. You know, we've always tried to do as we have. We just ain't had.
I agree.
You know, I do see a light at the end of the tunnel in the absence of increased health insurance. In that, you know, we are going to get some more revenue from Athens, Clark County, and in the way of the landfill. We are going to hopefully get more tax revenue in terms of, even if we have to come down to a lawsuit and try to sue the United States Post Office and get some of our revenue that is owed us, maybe we'll get some there, but I think even in that absence, we'll get an increase. I mean, we're going to get an increase. We've seen some development, some of the things that we put in place are paying off. We're going to get more revenue from retail. You know, there's growth going on in the county. The digest should continue to increase even if the values didn't. But the values are. We just did a reevaluation. We know that we're 2% low. We should fully expect a significant increase once those valuations are proper. You know, so we should see more. I mean, I anticipate more, but hopefully we just won't have these. And we have to do the insurance. I mean, people don't want to work for less insurance either. I mean, that's another pain. I mean, they get an increase right there whether they realize it or not. I don't know what that value is as a percentage of pay, but it's significant. You know, it's $95,000. And it's not like we're not doing anything. We've done things. We've had to just keep up with the mandates, you know, with the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
So we have tried, and we do want to try, and I do anticipate being able to do more. You can do more now. You can do more now. But it ultimately is you guys' decision. I'm giving you some options. You suggested one. David said something. You know, but we just need to come up with it. I don't want to own it. I don't own it. I mean, ultimately, I bring it to you. And by the way, before I go any much further, I appreciate all the hard work this young gentleman's done too. He has groomed this and turned it over and upside down, and continues to work hard on it, and done a fantastic job. So there's no, John made the comment, there's no wrong, there is. There's no wrong decision. We suffer the same kind of challenges outside the sheriff's department that he suffers. I know what he's telling me is real. It is real. There ain't no falsification there. But it's consistent throughout the whole county. It ain't just unique to them. And you know, and you probably ain't gonna call them every time you have somebody break in your house, but you're gonna call them when you have a pothole, or you want the side of the road mowed, or you want to pave the road, or you know, if you ever go down to senior citizen, go down there and you call EMS, you're going to want quality people there too, and we all want. We want, and David's done a good job of improving it, the quality of people. You know, I'll tell you that. But I mean, we're all limited to how much revenue we have and how much we can spend. That's nothing new to you guys.
Well, that's why
my recommendation is the 2%. That keeps us within the baseline. That gives everybody something, and hopefully, you know, as you say, we can, if revenues continue to come in, we can continue to work upon that if we don't have something else to take it away from us.
I've said this before, but I've never said it strong as I've said it today, and that is I do anticipate higher revenues going forward. You disagree with that?
I agree with it.
This is getting political, but do you think that's due to our current administration that we have in Washington? Any of that is trickling down to us.
Some of this has been in place, that landfill's been in place forever.
Mhm.
You know, we put water and sewage down through there, and, you know, we got people building little strip malls. You know, that's been going on.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna see some more retail, I think, pretty soon. It's just happening. You know, Danny's done good down there, that store's grown, people are shopping there. That's one segment of our population where we're not actually losing money to anybody else. We're actually getting what we typically would get out of a county this size is that segment of retail. So that's grown to the point where at least we're coming breaking back in. You know, we can only do better if we can win this battle with the United States Post Office. That could be up to $2.1 million a year. Now, a third of that being schools. That's significant. So, now, if the current administration could abolish the Affordable Care Act, yeah, I think it would help.
Yeah.
It would help. But no, outside of that, I don't think it's got anything to do with current national politics.
You just think it's things that the county planning in the past has been done, and
I
it's
think we're starting to pay
starting to
dividends.
reap some benefits from. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know.
And I can say that with confidence. So the only suggestion, on the firm suggestion, the guy, I've had a couple of ideas, but one of the firm suggestion was from you. Is there other suggestions?
Well, I agree with Andy. I mean, you know, I'm not saying David would do this, but it's like going back and saying, all right, guys, I tried, but they wouldn't give nothing. I mean, part of it, in my experience with Lakeland and all, is they, you know, you give benefits, like you talk about car and then going to the ball games and stuff like that. But, you know, it is the, I don't want to say the appearance, because I don't mean to make it look like it's something you're trying to pull over on nobody, but it's the effort, I guess you would say, that we're doing the best we can with what we got. We're doing the best we can with what we got. And as we got more, we'll do better. It's kind of, and that's what you're saying pretty much is, you know.
We always have.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I mean, I do, absolutely. We always have.
We
We've
just ain't
always
had
tried to do the best. That's right. We've always tried to do the best with what we did have, though. That's what I'm saying. I know that very well. Do the best with what you got. That's about all you do. So I pretty much agree with him.
We got two, and you know, I don't want to belabor that whole point, but we got two public works employees that are gone, that left for better paying jobs, better opportunities. And I don't blame anybody for bettering themselves. Been gone for a couple months, 3 months. We can't replace them. You can't replace them for what they left for.
And then you gotta train somebody else.
Well, you hope you can train somebody. You train them, you
Well,
get it
yeah,
pretty
I
good,
know,
and then they're in
I
the
know.
same situation that the ones that left for.
You talking to.
I mean, it's real. It's real.
I know
Well,
what you
David,
mean.
is your turnout, I mean, your, people leaving, the turnover, I guess. Is it leveled out in
The deputies have, but the people I have sought out are people who are from the county or who have a stake in the county. If you get the right police officer, they'll just about do the job for free. Now, you want to adequately compensate them and be fair about it, but at some point, you only have so many of those people that you can tap into. After that, you got to look for, try to hire somebody competitively, and it makes it very difficult. I can tell you this, and I don't like the EMS is fairly close to market. EMT makes what, around $40,000 right around there somewhere,
Oklahoma.
41,000 a year, you know, I like to get close to that. You know, we got deputies making 10,000 less than that. So if you look at what, the other competitive people pay as far as, you know, national and stuff like that, they're pretty close to the same. So there's, you know, they can recruit. You can leave national, come here for about the same money and have this community. So that's something you can sell in addition to the money. Here, we have the community, but it's hard to make that sale for $4,000 or $5,000 less. I'm just telling you, especially like Madison County and Greene County and other similar sized governments. And it's hard to explain to people why that county government over there can make it happen, and this county down here can make it happen, but we can't make it happen. You know, is it not a priority? Is it what? You know, I mean, at some point, you know, you gotta pull your pants up a little bit and pay folks what they're worth. That's just the bottom line of it. And I think for a long time, nobody stood here and said, hey, these guys need to be paid better. And everything got kind of coded over and moved on. And we paid more when we had more, but a lot of times that philosophy we never had. And at some point, you gotta keep up. I mean, if you look at the market, if we're 30% below market and we're still $5,000 short, that's pretty sad. That's because in the past, we didn't do what we're supposed to be doing. You know, we should get close. And I'm not asking to make more money than anybody else. I'm perfectly fine with being the lowest paid sheriff's office in this area. Just get me close. That's all I'm asking. That's what this pay increase is for. And looking at the market, when you ask what I'm asking for from the market, it's reasonable. And that's what the test is what you're asking for reasonable. Is it necessary to do the job you're hired to do? And if you can't hire people to do the job, you can't do the job. That's a factual part that, you know, I'm falling short of being able to do my job if I'm limited on what I could pay people to hire. And it's a difficult decision. And you look at it politically, I'll own it. I have 100% ownership of it. If y'all want to support me and have that pay raise, I'll own it. I'll tell folks how it is. I have no issue with that. Because what you'll find is people don't mind paying a little more if they get a little more. You know, in the past it's always been they want more for less. But at some point in this day and age, you talk to people and you go out there and actively explain it to them if they have an issue with it, and I have no issue doing that. They understand, because right now, our burglaries are down 70-some%, thefts are down over 50%, 0 fatalities on the roadway. That costs something. If you don't live in that kind of community, we got the best crime rates of anywhere around here. But you have to pay for it at some point. You can't get that for free. And citizens need to realize that. That don't come free. You know, you got to pay your people. Or else you end up with people who just go in here and sleep behind the garage at night and not doing their patrols and not taking care of it. Piedmont Landscaping over here had a truck stolen this morning. We got it recovered within 2 hours. And that's pretty good. You know, we have a professional law enforcement agency that does the job they're hired to do. And we protect the citizens of this county. And I think when it comes to public safety, people take that seriously. You know, it's something just like fire and things like that. They understand there's a little cost associated with it if they get a peace of mind with it. It's not just throwing money in the wind.
Well, David, you know, we had this same conversation last year, you know, when you made some of the same comments, you know, when the budget went up and, you know, this is what we pay people, what we be market competitive. But now we're talking about another 7.5% increase for salaries. Not to say that won't get us more competitive, but why did we not go up to this additional 7.5% last year if we weren't competitive at that point? Because that's what the increase was about.
Well, part of it, you want to make it palatable to the taxpayers so they don't have a big hit every year. You bring it up a little at a time. And I think that's normally the way things are done. You know, that's the argument between cost of living increases compared to adjustments. If you do cost of living, then it's 2% every year, but you never have that big gap that you got to make up. If you have that, if you don't do cost of livings, over a period of time, you're no longer going to be within the market. You're going to be 10, 15, 20% behind everybody else. You got to have a big adjustment to make it up. And for people going up 7.5%, if we went up 3% every year for the last 4 years, this would be a conversation.
But we went up 25% in the last 2 years, I guess.
But the issue with that is we're going up 25% from being 40% below market. You got to put it in perspective as far as what the market holds. Are you competitive with the market? It's just like you said, if you have people leave here, it's hard to hire good people. I've had a couple applications, and it's the kind of people I don't want to work here. The kind of people that aren't going to take this county.
We have applications, but you don't want to hire them.
And you wouldn't want me to hire them, because if I do, it's going to end up costing the county money.
Will 2% help you, David?
Not very much, I'll be honest with you. I mean, for what I think was reasonable, I'm not asking for more than that. I'm trying to be, I keep the taxpayers in mind, because I'm a taxpayer, I know all y'all taxpayers, I know taxpayers vote for us. I keep that in mind when I ask for what I'm gonna ask for, so I try to be reasonable about it. Basically, what you're looking at is have a decent increase this year, next year kind of lay off, and the following year after that, see where the market's at. Because unfortunately, the market is going up, and it's like you're always chasing something. Like right now, you go to Banks County, they're starting about 42,000. Jackson County's starting right at 40,000. And as people are losing folks to them, other places are bringing the market up. I just want them to everybody to kind of stop for a while, gives a chance to catch up a little bit close, you know. And it's like it keeps on moving, and it's always going to move. But
the dilemma that they don't have in Banks County that we have here, we don't have 85 running through, you know, Commerce and Banks Crossing, you know, and more revenue than we spend. That's the problem we don't have. I mean, we have.
I agree, that's why I'm asking for 33,700 instead of 42,000. What I'm asking for is in perspective of what we have here, you know.
David made a statement a while ago, proportionate wise, of the EMTs starting at 40,000. Is that correct?
Well, I think that really the only way to tell exactly what it is look at those annual compensation sheets. So when we talk about 40,000 of annual compensation, it wouldn't be unusual to find a paramedic at that rate, but that's including all their straight time and overtime. Now, when I hear 33,000 for deputy, you talk about just straight time.
Yeah.
So that's not apples to oranges. I mean, that's not apples to apples there. The only way to tell really what these deputies are making is to look at their 2017 annual compensation sheet and see what they made.
I see.
We have that available. I don't have it committed to memory, but do you know what your deputies would make total annual compensation?
I don't know. I know my purpose in saying that is not to say that we're making this and they're making that. My purpose in saying that is they're making this in Oglethorpe and the National's paying this a competitive. If you look at the market's comparable. Not necessarily that they're making more than we are. I'm saying if you look at what the market holds, they're within pretty close to the market, where we're not.
What do you think the average deputy is making annually?
We talking starting salaries?
No, I'm not starting. I'm talking about what, if I find one of their W-2s.
I have no clue.
Yeah, you got.
If you took every one of them and added them together and then divided by the number, the whole salaries, what would they make? I mean, we can tell you that.
What we try to do is we look at what their compensation is, and then we look at, we try to hold them around 8 hours of overtime every 28 days. Because public safety is a different pay rate than other places like EMS and 911 aren't exempt employees. So like with jail and deputies, they only get paid overtime once a month. And so you got 28 days in there.
That's by your choice. That ain't
Right.
because
Right.
that's the law.
And the reason, the law allows us to do that. And the reason we do that, it allows us to adjust time out without paying overtime. So it's a salary savings for us. Whereas like with dispatch, you have to pay it every 40 hours, every week, you know, every 7 days you got to pay the overtime. Same thing with EMS. So you might have 1 week that, you know, they work 46 hours, well, you're paying 6 hours mandatory overtime. It's just part of their work. It's not overtime, but you pay it at an overtime rate, but this is part of their regular salary, you know, where they're working that week because it's over 40 hours or 48 hours. And the next week is 36 hours because they work 4 days 1 week, set to 3 days the next week. So that you have to figure it differently with the hourly rate and lower the hourly rate to account for that overtime to get this yearly salary.
I don't know if that made all sense to you or not, but
No,
basically
no,
what Josh just said is the only way you can tell what they make in a year is look at the W-2 form from the prior year.
But thank you for trying to explain that. I just couldn't pick it up. That's all. Right.
But what it comes down to is, I guess the short part of it is, jail people and deputies, sworn deputies and stuff, we have time to adjust them out during that 28-day period before we pay overtime. So they basically carry time along their overtime, and if they take an extra day off or go home early, we can kind of keep the overtime down. Whereas like the EMS and dispatch, you only got 7 days to try to adjust that out. Most of the time you can't because they have to work. So it makes it a lot more difficult.
they have a 28-day work period, and everybody else has I guess, a 7-day work period. And you can take comp time, basically, if somebody works too much, or work overtime, you got to satisfy that comp time inside the work period. Okay. Legal. It don't always work that way in a lot of places, but since this work period is 28 days versus 7 days, there's additional 21 days in which they can require people to take off and not paying them that overtime.
We used to have a 14-day work period, so you had to get it done in 14 days. But by law, for public safety, you can do 28 days at the maximum. And it's anything over 168 hours, is that right?
171.
171. So anything over 171 is time and a half. Up until that, it's just straight overtime, which is your straight hourly rate. And it's a way to save money for us.
It allows some flexibility for comp time.
Right. Right. It gives us time to bleed all the
Doesn't
time.
say you have to do it, doesn't say you're required to do it, but it gives you some flexibility.
Like somebody goes to court and they have to testify in court, we'll just let them go home early one day. While the shifts are overlapped,
You
let them
can
go
let them
home.
go home.
Right. So that's how we try to keep that
You
overtime
can force them
down.
to go home.
Yeah.
You can require them to.
You have to either pay them or give them time within that 28-day period. And that's why that's how we try to keep it down by doing that. That's why we want to do a 28-day period, because it gives us more time administratively to adjust that time out.
It's a lot more difficult than anything I've ever had to do with employees. So
Well, I need some direction coming with me. We make it work out how y'all want it.
Well, I mean, if you're looking for a recommendation, I'm gonna go back to what I recommended the first time and then hope that we'll be in a position to where something will be available when we do this next year and we can make another change. That's the 2% countywide payroll increase, and that will keep us within our baseline budget. And that would be my hopes. I mean, we just hope that we would continue to be able to add to that.
Well, I'm seconding what Andy says, I agree with him. I think, as far as we go, that's reasonable.
I'm kind of leaning toward 5% like that, so countywide.
What would a $1,000 tax bill be? What's the increase of $1,000 tax bill would be if you go the route that Georgia said? A 4 or 5% for everybody?
I don't know, and I don't know if you fully
Yeah, that's
expect me to
not-
tell you, but
yeah,
I
that's
tell you,
not
not everybody
good.
gets $1,000 tax bill.
Well, I'm just talking about as an average. I know. I mean, you hit your,
you know, go ahead and take my $25,000 tax bill and see what it's gonna increase.
yeah.
You have a clue? No.
It'd be 25 times more than the 1,000.
Increase?
Yeah. That much I can figure out. Are you still on the 5%? Is that countywide? George said he was going on what she said.
Well, you know,
That's what he suggested.
yeah, that's kind of what I have. I'd kind of like to know what kind of an increase it would put us in right there. I mean, it's going to be a matter of a head coming off, and I just assume it'd be mine as anybody's if we increase the millage rate.
Now, I guess I'm still posing a little bit. If we approve the sheriff budget, that would put the millage rate from 7.856 to 8.378.
8.03.
If we approve a 7.5% salary increase for everybody, sheriff's department and everybody else, that's what it would be.
Okay.
That's right. One on the far right.
On the far right, I think he was referring to the.
He said 8.378, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty close to a half point mill rate. Just giving that best I can right here.
It's a, I do what it is, half a million, right?
Yeah.
I think last year I figured up $500,000 on a $80-something thousand house, and I think the increase was less than $20.
What value was that house?
It's $80-something thousand. I can figure out the exact amount. Go through the thing.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, when I was in here paying my last tax bill, the lady, I ain't gonna say who it was, I know exactly who it was, but her tax bill was nearly $9,000. So what would that increase be for her though?
Well, it'd be 9 times 1,000, 9 times, well, divide that by his 80,000, and then multiply it times whatever, well, that $20 now take. $240, somewhere around $250. So with no increase at 7.856, an additional 5.5 is 8.378. And the difference between those two,
When you say it was 80 into 9,000, you said $20,
so 8.7,
let's see if I can, let's see, $20 divide 80 into, well, we don't know what the property value was on the 9,000. He's using $80,000.
Yeah, I'm just looking at dollars.
yeah, and I don't even know that that's relevant to what we're trying to achieve here. You just bear with me just a second, 8.378 minus 7.856 equals, why did that not work? Need a regular calculator. 7.8 minus 7. So it's 0.522 mils equals basically 5.5% increase, right? So it's 2%. It's 2% already if you go 7.7 by 8.5.
Yeah, right.
So 5.522 mils is equal to 5.5% increase for all county employees. So that's 7.5. So if you want to go, so how much is that a meal? So divided by 5.5 equals 4.5 mils.
We figure 1 mil is $1 per $1,000 of assessed value. So it's half a mil is 0.55,
times 5.
55 cents per $1,000 of assessed value.
0.47 mil, 0.4745
So
mils.
$100,000 house,
0.4745 mils
$1,000.
plus 7.856 equals. I come up with 8.33, which is, don't sound right. Don't sound like that's enough. I mean, it sounds like it's too much. At any rate, we can figure out what that is, but obviously it's gonna be somewhere between 7.856 and 8 point, it's gonna be a difference between
I think the village rate also, you figure it's only 30% of the assessed value, is that correct? 40% of the assessed value, so $100,000 house, you only have 40,000. So you figure out 55 cents times 40, that's what it comes out to be, $20.
Well, the fact that we haven't done anything in the last several years, it is my inclination for raising it better than 2% this year. I mean, I understand how 2% will keep us in where we are right now without having to have, to go to the voters and say, hey, look, we increased your tax along with it. I mean, they don't understand the fact is we increase in our tax also. I mean, we're not exempt from from the increased tax. So, you take a large corporation, the only one that I know, the corporation world, Georgia Power. If Georgia Power is going to give somewhere around 3% increase, and our 2% is very close to that, but we've not done that in years. That was my reason for saying, if we go with 5% straight across the board, every employee, how would that go along with
I'll have to go back and run the numbers. Most of mine is mainly salary, except for like, just the sheriff's office, insurance is going up from 87,000 to I think 115,000. So, it's my 2 cents worth. I don't know if we looked into having, health savings accounts or anything like that. Is that still available?
Well, it's one of your options currently.
That's something I'll maybe look into and giving people having an option, saying, hey, you want a health savings account or you want a raise? Because there's a lot of money in there you could use. And I know a lot of young people use that, and it certainly limits their liabilities as far as how much they can be billed on stuff. And a lot of times you go to doctors, it's not much difference between what the cash payment and the.
If you offer a healthcare savings account, you have to offer a qualified catastrophic plan in addition to whatever you give in the health savings account. And it's going to be equal to whatever it is for the other plan. So that's not going to help. It's just not going to help. But what we're talking about here is salaries alone. It doesn't really affect the rest of the budget.
And what I'm asking for is come here. What you're talking about is we're still thousands of dollars from anybody else. Even for the boost we get, it's still not putting us up equal to anyone. And so that's why I say it's very reasonable. I think it's something that's powerful and something you could do to be reasonable to the taxpayers. And I come here and ask for 16 or 18% or whatever it is to be up equal, and I don't think that's reasonable to the taxpayers. That's what I'm asking.
I ain't going to argue what's reasonable, what ain't reasonable there, but I'll tell you whatever's reasonable for him is good for everybody else.
And to your point though, David, about trying to get equal to everybody else, and I appreciate that, and the same for all our county employees. But I go back to what the chairman made a statement earlier. We simply just don't have the tax base to draw that kind of money from without raising taxes at a significant rate, and that's going to fall on the large property owners and people like that. And it's easy if you're Oconee County and you have Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot sitting over in that corner. Yeah, you've got all kinds of opportunity to spend tax money, but right here we just don't have it. And I appreciate what you're doing and everything that you're doing, and understand things are better. But this to me just goes back to the business that I'm running. I have to work within the guidelines that I have, and that's just the way. That's the way I'm looking at this from a business point of view. This is the money that the county has. When we have more, then we can do more. The fact that we're behind, I know why we're behind. We just don't have the revenue that the other counties have. That's just as simple as that. And if you want to keep jacking this millage rate right here up, as far as me sitting in this seat right here, I don't care if somebody else comes in here. I wish somebody was here today making this decision rather than myself. But the fact of the matter is, I'm trying to do this where I on the outside also looking in. I think my tax bill is as high as I want it to be. And it ain't the fact that I don't think you need more money or you need more money. It hasn't got anything to do with that. It's just a matter of working within what you have. You've got to stay within. You cannot have $1,000 and spend $1,250 every month. By and by, you're going to get behind on that. That's just my point of view from a taxpayer's perspective, and from sitting here in this seat. That's just the way I see it. I wish I could give you all you want. I really do. I mean, I'd give it to you in a heartbeat. But I'm thinking that we need to stay within our guidelines. It's just the way I see it. That's just my conservative view. That's just the way I see it. Did these other guys see 5%?
they can make their case for that.
Well, let's narrow down some of the decisions. Number one, I'd like to say that, and make a recommendation that anything that we do goes straight across the board, every county employee.
I agree with that.
All right? If you want to call for a vote, let's do that and then at least have our,
Well, we don't have to vote on it. In
Don't have
fact,
to
we
vote
don't
on
have
it.
to have a formal decision today, but we do need to have a decision that we can base our formal decision on at our budget hearing next month, and one we can publish. So, I mean, we don't really need to have a formal decision on that, but I appreciate that, and I think everybody agrees with it. I don't think anybody disagrees with it.
I think the whole board agrees too. We don't have the sales tax revenue to play with. But how do our property tax millage rate compare to, say, Madison County and Wilkes County? Let's go to Wilkes County, more rural. Do you know what their millage rate is on the?
I don't. I mean, you go to Hancock County, that's the highest in the state. It's like 29 mills. But that's because they had to gain the same kind of revenue, essentially, that we get from a whole lot less property value. So, I mean, to compare a rate, I mean, I don't know that is necessarily
That's just part of it. You gotta look at property values, you gotta look at the whole picture.
Right.
hopefully our property values go up, we keep the same millage rate and, get more revenue. That's what happened this year. It's gonna happen again next year. Ain't no way that you continue to add that building. We were 2% behind. We were 2% behind. We made a conscious decision to pay up to get these assessment values right. We know that's gonna go up. I mean, if these people are coming here independently and evaluate this properly, it's gonna go up 2%. 2% of $2.9 million, I don't know what that is, but it's a pretty good bit of money. It's gonna be, how much is that?
1% would that be something?
No, it's 2% of the 40% value. It's gonna be 5%. It'll be 5%. It'll be 2 points of the 40% value. This is 38. It's gonna work. If they get it up to 40, where it should be 5%. Be 5% increase. It's gonna. I mean, we're gonna get revenue. We're gonna get other revenue. Brighter days are ahead. The question is, do you want to wait till that time comes? And hope that nothing else catastrophic comes up, like health insurance is going to continue to eat at it.
Two things I'd like to point out. One is that what I need to do this week is publish a proposed budget. Then we've got the public hearing in a couple of weeks, and we won't approve a budget until the August 6th, until the regular meeting in August. So we don't have to sit here and approve a budget tonight. All I got to do is figure out what I'm publishing in paper this week and to the public. The second thing is the current mill rate is 8.315, unincorporated mill rate. Anything greater than that would require additional meetings, additional hearings, or probably push that time on. So I just thought those two things were necessary. Today, you don't have to approve the budget. We've still got a public hearing coming up on the budget in a couple of weeks.
We got
I
to
just need
approve
to know-
5-year history.
The 5-year
history is
that's
gonna-
absolutely true.
Requires a decision for what we do here.
That's it.
Andy's made a strong argument and took a strong position on the 2%. David, you seem to have backed off a little bit. Lord, you seem to be able to go along with what David said initially. Phil, you seem to be consistent with Andy. John, what's your pleasure?
You a tiebreaker.
I don't think it's a tiebreaker, but I can do that too. I mean, like I say, there's nobody asking anything wrong here. I wish we could give everybody, not just the sheriff, but everybody. I can go with the 2, in the hopes that things will be better.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
If we go, the only thing I say, if we were to go with a 5, that would lock us into doing nothing for the next few years. I can't see doing a 5 this year, and a 5 or 7 next year. I mean, can't see that happening at all.
Look, we had a, if we do 2, we hadn't been able to do 2 in the last 8 years, 9 years. at least we're able to do two, and we know that there's gonna be better days ahead. They are, they're coming. We're even considering all these expenses, additional expenses we had. You know, these increase from the DA, increase from public defender, increase, we still have enough revenue from this marginal increase in the digest, and we're gonna see even more than that from sales tax and from revenue from Athens Park County. There are gonna be better days. There are gonna be better days. I don't know what we're gonna end up doing, but I can tell you, I'm happy that we're able to do 2%. And I'll be even happier when we can do more than that. Because it's long overdue.
Well, we can do 2% without having to raise from our baseline budget right there. That's the good point. That's a good point to me, you know.
Well, that's just saying you're doing everything you can do
Right,
without going up.
exactly.
Well,
And I think people will appreciate
If we go up to 5%, we won't have to do it year after year after year after year. And 2020, you might get considered 1.5%, 2%. But I think now to get everything back up in line, we need to increase at least by 5%.
5% means a millage rate increase. So that's what you say, you're good with that.
Because we have been lagging behind for so long, like David said,
But when you say lagging behind,
We were lagging behind for a reason. We were lagging behind because the revenue wasn't
I
there.
understand that.
And it's easy to balance the budget on the backs of somebody else's money if you want to do that. That's the point I'm trying to make. We all agree there's a need.
I just don't think 2% will bring us up enough to.
2% is not going to get us where anybody wants to be, not even the sheriff. But at the same time, 2% is a good start, and hopefully, based upon what he's telling us, we can continue upon that. And if additional revenue is there, then that can be done with the same baseline that we have.
Is 2% the max we can do without,
pretty much it.
that's pretty much it? No
And that is it,
2.5,
that's,
3.
you go 2.1, it's gonna go up.
Okay,
You could give the, he's asking for a raise, and as he says his people need it, and rightfully so. You could give his people a raise and omit the others, but that wouldn't be fair.
That's true.
I mean, that wouldn't be fair at
I
all.
agree with that.
I'll go back through it again. Andy, I heard your recommendation. Bill, I heard you go along with that. George, John, I think I heard you say the same thing. David, what's your pleasure? George, you said 5%, I don't know.
Well, in order to go straight across the board, I believe that we ought to just go with the 7.856 baseline. Right where we are. Middle column.
That would be the 2%.
That's right. Just go across the board.
So we don't have to take an official vote, but I will take an official vote. If you'll offer that in form of a motion, we'll see where it goes, Andy.
All right, I move that we accept the baseline proposal of 2% countywide payroll increase for the year. This would be 2019, is that correct?
Yeah.
Year 2019.
And we'll prepare the documents accordingly. Josh prepares everything accordingly,
Yes,
based on this 7 point, whatever that number was.
7.856 millage rate.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
That would give you one.
I got a motion and a second, is there discussion? Being none, all those in favor signify by raising the right hand. All those opposed do the same. Thank you. Anything else you need?
That's all. That's it.
Any other discussion for the sake of the board?
No, I just would ask David to have some patience with us, and we'll keep working, try to get you what you need. And everybody else. Hope we
And
can
don't
get
take that as a sign that don't nobody appreciate it, because we do.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
We certainly do, David, we appreciate it. Thank you.
And I promise you, if we get more, we'll do it. And it's coming. It's coming. And I think you can take credit for part of that. Well, case, have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor, rise.